The saga of Ragnar Lothbrok and his sons is a tale woven from Norse legend, history, and epic storytelling, primarily drawn from sources like the Gesta Danorum by Saxo Grammaticus and the saga of Ragnar Lothbrok. Ragnar, a semi-legendary Viking hero and king, embodies the spirit of adventure, conquest, and vengeance that defined the Viking Age. His sons, equally formidable, carry his legacy across Scandinavia and beyond, shaping the course of history through their raids and ambitions. Ragnar Lothbrok was a Danish warrior born in the late 8th or early 9th century. His origins are murky, blending myth and reality. Some tales claim he descended from the god Odin himself, while others paint him as a cunning farmer-turned-warrior from Denmark or Sweden. What's certain is his reputation as a fearless raider and leader. Ragnar's early life was marked by ambition and love. He first married Lagertha, a fierce shield maiden who fought alongside him. Their marriage, passionate but brief, produced a son, Bjorn, and daughters. After parting with Lagertha, Ragnar wed Thora, daughter of a jarl, after slaying a monstrous serpent to win her hand. From Thora came sons like Ivar the Boneless, Ubba, Fitzurk, and Sigurd Snake in the Eye. Later, Ragnar married Aslaug, a woman of mysterious origins tied to the hero Sigurd the Dragon Slayer, who bore him more sons, including Bjorn Ironside. Ragnar's fame grew through daring raids across Europe. He sailed to Francia, sacking Paris in 845, where he extorted a massive ransom from King Charles the Bald. His voyages took him to England, where he plundered and fought, earning both wealth and enmity. Ragnar's cunning was legendary. He once feigned death to infiltrate a fortified city, only to rise from his coffin and open the gates for his men. But Ragnar's pride led to his downfall. Seeking to outdo his own legend, he sailed to England with a small force, underestimating King Aella of Northumbria. Captured, Ragnar was thrown into a pit of venomous snakes where he died defiantly, prophesying that his sons would avenge him. His final words, according to legend, were, "How the little pigs will grunt when they hear how the old boar suffered." Ragnar's death ignited a fire in his sons, who banded in the saga of Ragnarssona as the leaders of the great heathen army. Each son was distinct in character and deeds, shaped by their father's legacy and their own ambitions. Bjorn Ironside, known for his strength and resilience, Bjorn earned his nickname Ironside for emerging unscathed in battle. He raided across the Mediterranean, striking as far as Italy, where he mistook the city of Luni for Rome itself. Bjorn later became a king in Sweden, ruling with wisdom and founding a dynasty that endured. Ivar the Boneless, the most enigmatic of Ragnar's sons, Ivar was said to be crippled, unable to walk due to cartilage instead of bones. Yet his mind was razor-sharp. A ruthless strategist, Ivar led the great Heathen army. He orchestrated the brutal execution of King Aella to avenge their father. He carved out a kingdom in Dublin and became a terror in Ireland and beyond. Ubbi, a steadfast warrior, Ubbi was a key leader in the great Heathen army. He focused on consolidating Viking power in England, eventually settling in the Danelaw, a region of Anglo-Saxon England under Viking control. Fitzurk, less prominent in the sagas, Fitzurk Miranda's fate is uncertain, but some tales suggest he accompanied his brothers on raids and later ruled parts of England, possibly as a king in York. Sigurd Snake in the Eye, named for a serpent-shaped mark in his eye, Sigurd was a cunning leader who helped expand Viking influence in England and Ireland, often clashing with his brothers over strategy. In 865, these brothers, joined by other Viking chieftains, assembled a formidable army, likely numbering in the thousands, though exact figures are debated. Unlike earlier Viking raids that sought plunder and retreat, this army came to conquer and settle. They gathered in Denmark, their longships bristling with warriors, and set sail for England, a land fractured by rival kingdoms, Northumbria, Mercia, East Anglia, and Wessex. The great heathen army landed in East Anglia in late 865. King Edmund of East Anglia, wary of their strength, offered peace, supplying horses and provisions to avoid immediate conflict. The Vikings wintered there, plotting their next move. Ivar the Boneless, the cunning strategist despite his physical frailty, emerged as a key leader, with Ubbi and others commanding in the field. In 866, the army marched north to Northumbria, where civil war had weakened the kingdom. They captured York, a vital trading hub, and turned it into a Viking stronghold called Jorvik. King Aella, Ragnar's killer, faced the wrath of the sons. In 867, Aella and his rival King Osbert united against the Vikings but were defeated. Both kings fell, and Aella suffered the gruesome Blood Eagle execution, a ritual sacrifice to Odin for Ragnar's death. Northumbria fell under Viking control with a puppet king installed. With Northumbria subdued, the great heathen army turned south. In 868, they invaded Mercia, capturing Nottingham. King Burgred of Mercia, aided by King Ethelred of Wessex and his brother Alfred the Great, besieged the Vikings, but could not dislodge them. A truce was struck, and the Vikings returned to York to consolidate their hold. In 869, the army swung back to East Anglia, no longer content with peace. They ravaged the kingdom, and King Edmund resisted fiercely. According to legend, the Vikings captured and martyred him, tying him to a tree and riddling him with arrows when he refused to renounce Christianity. East Anglia fell, another piece of England under Viking sway. By 870, the army targeted Wessex, the last major Anglo-Saxon kingdom standing. They seized Reading, establishing a fortified base. King Ethelred and Alfred fought a series of battles, including a rare Anglo-Saxon victory at Ashdown in 871, where Alfred's leadership shone. But the Vikings, relentless and reinforced, wore down Wessex's defenses. After Ethelred's death, Alfred became king and negotiated a fragile peace, paying the Vikings to withdraw. The Great Heathen Army's campaign shifted from conquest to settlement. By the mid-870s, the Vikings controlled much of northern and eastern England, a region later called the Danelaw, where Norse law and culture took root. Ivar the Boneless departed for Dublin around 871, establishing a kingdom there, while Ubi and others remained to govern and raid. Hvitserk and Sigurd's roles are less clear, with some sagas suggesting they ruled parts of the Danelaw or ventured elsewhere. In 874, Mercia fell when the Vikings ousted King Burgred, installing a puppet ruler. The Great Heathen Army began to fragment as leaders pursued their own goals. Some warriors settled as farmers and traders, blending Norse and Anglo-Saxon cultures. Others, under new leaders like Guthrum, continued raiding Wessex. In 878, Guthrum launched a surprise winter attack on Wessex, nearly capturing Alfred. The king fled to the marshes of Athelney, rallying his forces in secret. At the Battle of Edington, Alfred defeated Guthrum, forcing him to accept baptism and a treaty dividing England. The Danelaw was formalized, with Vikings ruling the north and east, while Wessex held the south and west. The Great Heathen Army's campaign, spanning roughly 865 to 878, transformed England. The Danelaw endured for decades, shaping language, law, and culture in northern England. York became a thriving Viking capital, and Norse settlers left a genetic and cultural imprint still traceable today. The campaign also elevated Alfred the Great, whose resistance laid the foundation for a unified England. The sons of Ragnar achieved their vengeance and more, carving out kingdoms and etching their names into legend. Ivar's Dublin became a Norse stronghold, Bjorn ruled in Sweden, and Ubba's legacy persisted in the Danelaw. The Great Heathen Army was not just a military force, but a catalyst for a new era, blending Norse ambition with Anglo-Saxon resilience.